Today because I want to show you the homeschool planners that have recently launched at Well Planned Paper. So for those of you that don't know, I am a homeschooling mom of 3, and about 2 years ago I realized that there wasn't a planner on the market that I really vibed with, and so I sat down and started creating my own, and I've used it for about 1.5 years, and now I'm excited to send it out to all of you and give you a chance to look at it. And today what I wanted to do was be able to give you an inside look at the planner, because I know sometimes it's hard to see the planner online and kind of understand what it looks like. So our homeschool planners come in 2 designs. There's this first one called Nautical Nights. It's like a light blue, kind of oceany blue and white stripes. And then the second one is called, it's this kind of floral pattern. This is actually our budget planner, but it's the same cover design. And one thing that I do kind of across the board at Well Planned Paper for all my products is they are all full 8.5 by 11 size. And I do this because after years and years of using planners and organizational products, there's like literally nothing worse than trying to squeeze stuff into little margins. I wanted it to be spacious enough for you to put everything that you needed to on that paper. So every product is a full 8.5 by 11 size. And then to give you an inside look at the kind of cover, it is like if you've never seen our products before, it's like a hard plastic. It's called a plastic composite, but basically it's this super durable cover that you can wipe off, and it does not bend, it does not tear. And that was intentional because busy moms are not sitting their planners and their homeschool planners neatly on their desk. They are getting shoved in bags and taken with them. And I wanted a product that was going to be durable enough to withstand life and wear and tear. And so this will do it. I promise you, I've been using them for years and it's wonderful. And then additionally, all of our products are bound with a plastic spiral binding. Again, this was an intentional choice because what I was finding in my own use and when talking to other folks is the metal binding tended to pull apart, and then you're losing pages and things are getting all misshapen. This does not do that. It stays together. You literally cannot bend this unless you have special tools to do it. It is like super, super durable. So that's kind of what the outside looks like. So let's take a look inside. So when you open up your planner, the first thing you'll notice are these scheduling dates. This planner is dated to cover the time frames of July of 2023 all the way through to the end of June 2024. And so in this, we have space for you to see the year, and then also to kind of write out anything that you might plan to do. So for me personally, I like to use this space for like field trips, co-op events, anything like that, just so I know kind of overarching what our year is going to look like. And there is space for both or all 12 months of the year, kind of divided up 6 months and 6 months. And then from there, we have space for teacher goals. There's also space for student goals. And one of my favorite areas is an hour goals section. This section is what are the goals that your family has for your homeschool year? Because if you're a homeschooling family, you know that it's not just sitting down for a couple of hours a day to school. It's kind of a lifestyle, and it's this is where you can sit down with everyone, mom, dad, kiddos, and kind of decide what does your family want to do for the coming year. Another thing is our curriculum plan and budget. If you have been around Well Planned Paper, you know I also love a good concise budget. If you haven't checked out the budget planner or budget workbook, highly recommend it. But this is a space where you can sit down and decide exactly what curriculum you want to purchase, where you want to purchase it, and then you can kind of sit down and budget, because there are thousands of resources out there and it can become very overwhelming and very expensive very quickly. So this gives you a place to kind of sit down, organize it, and decide what you want to buy and where to get it. And then also we have space for tracking quarterly progress. This is something that I don't include specific assessments. This is something that is just for you as a teacher and a parent to decide. It might be something maybe you notice your child struggling with a math concept. Well, that gives you space to kind of go over and jot down like areas that you think they're struggling with, but then also plans to practice, improve, and then reviewing it later. It's just 100% solely for a parent to see what it is that they kind of track how their kids are doing. So that is in there as well. And then we also have some space for developing a routine and weekly rhythms. If you are new to Well Planned Paper, that is kind of one of the things that I really like to encourage families to do. Rhythms and routines are kind of a foundational cornerstone to successful households, I believe. And so sitting down and deciding like what are those things throughout your week that are most important to you. It can be big things like, Friday night movie night, or it can be small things even like every Tuesday I, clean downstairs, whatever it is. It's these little rhythms that we put into our lives that make it a little easier to get through life when chaos is happening. And these are, again, like the cornerstones and foundations that keep our family running. So I include space in here. And again, this is not just for your homeschool day. This is for your family, and it can be applied in any way you want. In this space, you can include things like your cleaning schedule, your, all of that sort of stuff, your household and family routines and rhythms. So then on to the juicy meat of it. This beautiful space is your schedule, your monthly overview, and every single month of the year will include this exact same stuff. So you have this big, spacious, full 2-page spread for your year, and then each month also has a month at a glance planner. And I know this is backwards, I'm really sorry, but basically each month includes space to plan your goals for the month, areas that you want to focus on. So for instance, in those starting months, July and August, if that's when you start your school year, a lot of times people will do specific themes or, summer themes and things like that. Or maybe there's a specific nature study that you're wanting to do that kind of aligns with the time period. That's where you could jot some of that down. And then there's space for you to organize the whole month. Field trips you're going on, extracurricular activities you're doing, any tools or products that you need to prep, books you need to get, you would write all of that down here. So this is kind of your landing page for the month, and this is where you will write out everything to plan for all your lessons that are coming up in the following month. And then we continue moving forward. If you are a family that does a specific morning time setup, like maybe a morning basket, or maybe you have a rhythm of doing a specific review sort of process every morning, this is a space where you can plan out your morning time. Again, that's going to include things like what are your focus points, what do you do in the morning, books to gather, materials to prep, and things of that nature. And then also in each month, because what I was finding, both personally and when speaking to other homeschool families, there are 2 subjects that almost always have things added in, and that's your sciences and your history. I personally love to add in crafts and recipes and just other little extras for both our science and our history. And so I found it really helpful to have a place to include that. Include, again, a book list, what you need to get from the library, special projects that you might want to do, and any prep work that you might have as well. And then this is what each week will look like. Again, cannot stress enough that having lots and lots of space was super important. Each day is dated, but then you as a family get to decide what subjects you outline here. And this space includes check boxes. So if you're someone who likes to plan ahead of time, you can plan out your lessons here and check them off as you go. If you're someone who likes to put in things retroactively, you can simply ignore the check marks and just write in your plan of this is what we did today. But it works for both ways. So you can plan and put your stuff in there as you need. And it is set up to include 6 check boxes per subject. So say that you did language arts here, you'd have 6 check boxes. You could break those up by students, or if you're doing everything together as a family, you can simply list out the tasks that you're doing. And we do include Monday through Friday, but then also a space here for the weekend. I know personally sometimes we do things on the weekend that I like to jot down, like maybe we go to a museum or a reenactment. This gives us space to be able to record that as well. And then you'll have some focus tools over here, like what are we focusing on for the week? What do we need to push to next week? Are there any notes like, hey, don't forget to pick this up from the library, or make sure that we call about that registration, anything, you know, that's kind of some space to organize that. And then here is our highlight of our week. So when you are homeschooling, sometimes there will be beautiful days and sometimes there will not be. And this, I have a, you know, just this heart for focusing on the positive. And so I always like to jot something down, something throughout the week that just made us all smile and is a great memory from the week. And it's a really fun thing to be able to look back on later. Excuse me, I need a drink. Sorry about that. Lots of talking. Okay, so then you'll have that for each month. And again, there are 12 dated months. But another thing that we have is there are extras at the end of the planner to help you to keep record of other things, such as book lists. So at the end of the planner, you will have books that we've read for any of your read alouds or for your pre-readers. This is kids who aren't yet reading on their own. You can keep track of things that you've done with them. But then there's also space to keep track of books that your child or children have read independently. So you can break these up. Each sheet is for one specific child. Excuse me. And then another thing that you can find back here is both our unit study planner. Again, it's another planning sheet to help you get organized for any unit studies you might do throughout the year. And then also field trip tracking. This is where you can keep notes of what you did, your favorite parts, what did you learn, and when it all happened. I know for some states things like this are required. If not, it's also just a nice little memory, just a way to keep track of everything that you did throughout the year. And then lastly, to kind of wrap up the goodies inside, there is an attendance log. This, you can use it how you'd like. I made the boxes a little bit bigger so that if you need to track more than one child, you can do that. Or if you are tracking, if your children are on the same schedule or you're just tracking one child, you can simply check in the box that you have your attendance, and then down here at the bottom you keep totals throughout the month or throughout the year. And then to finish up, when the school year is all done, you can use this space to kind of go over and reflect on what worked in the year, what didn't work in the year, what you'd like to see change or see more of, your favorite books, and then most importantly, what is your focus for your upcoming break? So I know for so many of us, we have just finished up this school year that the idea of even thinking about next year is like maybe daunting, maybe exciting, but also something that we can't quite wrap our brains around. And so I love this focus of like, let's just take a break. What are we going to do over our break before we dive into our next school year? So that's like I love that little area there. And then of course, because no planner is a good planner without notes pages, there's also a handful of blank note pages as well for you to use in whatever way your heart desires. So yeah, that kind of wraps up the homeschool planner. Again, this one is a close one to my heart. I love all of the products that I've designed, but this one in particular, it was so useful for me, and in order to create the homeschool environment I truly wanted. I struggled immensely in our first couple years of homeschooling because I couldn't quite get my brain around how to plan. And I would read other people's resources and I would see what they were doing and I would try that, and it just didn't quite work. There was always something that didn't work for our family, and it always kind of felt like a hitch in the chain when I was trying to create a smooth day. And so sitting down and designing this was like a breath of fresh air. It finally gave me the space to plan out however much or however little I wanted. If I wanted to plan a whole semester, I had the space to do it. If I wanted to plan it simply a month, I also had the space to do it. And I also could adjust our weeks. It was big and open, and it just yeah, it was just super, super helpful, and I absolutely adore it. And again, I don't foresee myself personally not using it anytime soon. And I just hope that it is something that for other homeschool moms, it is that breath of fresh air that you're looking for. If you're struggling with how to find a way to plan your school year. Oh, and one last thing I forgot to add. Sorry, random side here. All of those extras that I kind of showed at the end, the field trip record, the unit study planner, when you purchase this, you get access to those PDFs for any extras you might need. So if you are a family that absolutely adores unit studies and you find that that there's not enough in this planner for you to plan your unit studies, you will have access to it's the same exact thing, it's just online. And you can print as many of those as you need to plan out. Because again, I don't want this to in any way ever limit you as a homeschool family. I want it only to make things easier on you. So if there's ever a time where you decide your family's doing more unit studies than what the planner comes with, just hop off, follow the link that you will receive in your email after purchase, and you can download additional copies of those planning tools, and you can use as many as you need. So yeah, anyway, there she is. That's the homeschool planner. Again, it's available on the website. And if you're in the planning phases, I really, really hope you'll check it out.